Hi, my name is Andre Miner, and I grew up here at Ritchie Creek Vineyard. And this is the property that my mom and dad built, starting in the I guess they bought it. My dad bought it in 1965. And in the glass fire, I think it's been about 4 weeks, it pretty much completely burned down. We spent the day thinking about getting ready for a fire coming, but somehow I just didn't quite believe it would happen. One of the cats almost got out the front door before we got her in the cage, but we grabbed her. And the decision of whether or not to leave was, and I knew it at the time, that it was going to be one of the most haunting decisions of my life. So when I got here, this house was kind of still here, but it was engulfed in flames. Anyway, so I moved back here about 7 years ago to try and rebuild this place, and finishing this vineyard was a huge accomplishment for me, and seeing it all burned up like this is pretty rough. So this is the house that my dad built, and these are the rocks that came from when he originally cleared for the vineyard. And he picked every single one of these gosh darn rocks up, how many times in order to get them up into where they are. And this is such an amazing house. I'm really sad to see it in this condition. There was maybe a moment of thought where, geez, maybe the walls are still good, but the truth is that these rocks cooked, and a lot of the time they exploded. Like, so for example, here's this one. For example, this rock right here didn't used to look like this, like the front came off, and you can see that it's lost its structural integrity. Yeah, look at that. Right, so these walls are no longer capable of supporting a house, and I'm afraid the whole thing has to come down now. This was my childhood bed right here, and then there was a window right here, and this was the view that I grew up to. And one thing I've always tried to do is to never lose sight of how lucky I was to have this be my view when I was growing up. And what I think happened, as far as I know, is that on sometime between Sunday night and Monday morning, down at Bothay Park, which is straight down below here, the fire got going down there, and then the heavy winds just blew it up this canyon here. And then there's actually a word for that, but anyways, it followed the canyon up, and then the fire just roared up this hill. So Tina and I, actually, our first good vintage of Cabernet was the 17 Cab. And we just bottled it. We had 3 barrels of it. It tasted awesome. It was the best wine we've ever made by far. I really think my dad would have liked it. And that, along with every bottle of wine that my dad made that I had, we were back here. And the greatest loss is the loss of all this wine. This is the old D2, which is the tractor that I learned on, and everything I know about tractors was based on what I learned on this tractor. And it was burning really heavily. They're like right here. There was this big flame, and so I was like, oh, okay, that'll go out. And then the next day, still burning, and then the next night it was still burning. It kept burning for about 3 days. And so this is the fuel pumps around here. Actually, I think it's in there. And so what happens is the fuel line didn't melt, so it was just slowly feeding diesel out of the fuel line and feeding this flame that just kept burning for several days. And this is a rather dangerous situation right here. Here is the pressure tank now. So I suppose it was under pressure, and then the water boiled inside of it, I assume, and then it exploded. And you can see the ejection there. And I had built this beautiful redwood gate for my dad like 10 years ago or something. That's toast, and this is where my firewood pile was. So that burned real bright. That was still a big stack of burning firewood when I got here. I always told myself that if the fire came when it was windy, I probably by myself couldn't do very much to protect this place. Everyone always said it's not a matter of if, it's when. So my hope was that when the time came, it would be after the windstorm that the fire got to our property, and maybe I would be able to do something then. Because when the wind's not blowing, it goes pretty slow. That you can really get work done, even with just a shovel, even if you don't have water. It's a combination of availability of fuel, heat, and wind, and luck. And that's kind of what determines why some things burns and some things don't. It's sort of like having to say goodbye to my dad one more time. And it's really hard to see that, my mom and dad's life work is pretty much gone at this point. And the best I can hope for is the strength to bring it back. I'd really like to say thank you to everyone, all of our friends and family who have expressed their support for us. The donations are I can't thank you enough for all the donations that people have offered us, and it's rebuilding this place is just thinking about doing that right now is overwhelming. But my hope is that someday I'll make another bottle of Ritchie Creek, and hopefully I'll be able to share it with you.